It's a big week in the long story tradition of Marvel TV Weekly. We've had the premiere of The Inhumans and The Gifted. So stay tuned. We'll talk about that starting now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, that's right. We're all just souls whose intentions are good. But please, Lord, don't let us be misunderstood. I didn't know what song I was going to use to start the show. And then we were watching The Gifted, and I'm like, there it is. The animals with Misunderstood. And we are going to predominantly talk about The Inhumans and The Gifted. We were fortunate enough to see it on the East Coast feed. I realize that it'll start airing right after this show ends. So we're not going to go crazy and ruin it for people.
Sneak peek.
But there might be a couple things we complain about. Anyway, I'm Christian Blatt at Christian DMZ. And to my left, camera right, for those of you watching on YouTube, Michael Shirley.
Hey, guys.
At Michael X Shirley. I
Yeah?
almost put the X in the wrong place.
No, you gotta put it in the middle.
I mean, it's just appropriate if we're going to talk about mutants. If
I
there's
know,
an X
right?
in there. We should all probably add X's to our online screen names. Erica Green, Erica Jaye Green.
Yes.
I had to have that in front of me because I'm like, I'm just going to mess it up. I felt pretty confident. And by the way, I have been given password access to the @ABTV Marvel account, which is the overall AfterBuzz account for all the TV shows and the after shows for the TV shows. So ignore whatever Twitter name I might have told you to look at last week when I thought the show might have a different name. @ABTV Marvel. That's where you'll be able to follow us and know what's going on and get all kinds of news. And you'll know about all the other after shows. We're going to dive into the Inhumans, and I want to start off by mentioning that the Inhumans does indeed have its own after show at AfterBuzz, and you can just find it on YouTube, probably right next to where you found this, if I had to guess. I'm nothing if not a gentleman, so I feel like I should go ladies first. Erica, your thoughts on the Inhumans?
I know people are so hard on it, but I think it's
Yes,
made
they are.
for a specific audience. You know, if you're really into like the costumes being really overdone and stuff like that, and just the over cheesy kind of dialogue, I think that's what it does. I mean, it does what it does. It's that the fighting and stuff is taken up a notch, I guess, because they're fighting against each other first before they come
Sure.
to Earth and bring their mess to Earth. So, no, I think it is what it is.
They do bring a whole mess to Earth.
Yeah.
But if you have to go from the moon to somewhere on Earth, why not go to Hawaii? So good for them.
The
you know?
busiest cities they
Yeah,
like to.
Lockjaw kind of screwed them over a little bit with the teleporting there, but at least he brought them to Hawaii.
Right,
You know?
right.
So I don't know. You know, usually in the Marvel universe, everybody ends up in New York, and I'm from New York. I'm not trying to discount New York, but if I got a choice, I'm going to Hawaii.
See, I'm sorry. I'm just
No,
saying,
I was gonna-
I just wish I didn't watch the Netflix ones first because
Oh,
now I'm
yeah.
like just so stuck in how great they were.
Yeah,
And
and
so
then
it's throwing
It's
me
different.
off.
yeah, and then these are
definitely different.
Yeah,
I
these
really
are
like
just
those, but-
TV shows, you know, not dark,
movies.
brooding, streaming service shows. Did any characters stand out for you in the Inhumans? It doesn't even have to be a favorite, but was there somebody who you're like, their story is interesting, I want to see more of this character?
I guess I can't even think of the character's name, but it's.
Well, we'll have Anthony bring up the cast photo,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully they'll be featured in there. I
I
think
feel like
everybody's in
I've
there.
crammed so many characters in my brain.
Well, yeah, because as we talked about last
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
you like plowed through the Netflix Marvel shows.
And then like there's sub. I'm not gonna call the humans the sub characters, but you know, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
humans,
kind of
friends
are.
and stuff
They kind of are. Yeah. You know.
No, I mean the one with the hair, I think that's incredible because
Medusa.
I change my hair all the time. So
That's true. Your hair is very different than it was
somebody
last
I'm
week.
going to relate to the most.
Do you think you
Well,
could choke somebody with your hair?
No.
Okay,
I can't
but
do that.
you know, but you know what, you
I
never
could.
For that.
and
Yours
you've
is long.
possibly been in a situation where maybe you have to. You never know. Somebody gets out of line. Either one of you can. I can't choke anybody with my hair. But
I'm gonna keep watching. Maybe
and look,
we'll
that
get
was
to
the thing, Michael, that people were most critical of was Medusa's hair.
Well, it's got them now.
Yeah, but I was gonna say it didn't stick around for that long.
No.
And of course, when the trailer first came out, where you see her head shaved, everybody was like, "Yep, that's because they heard how much we hated the hair." And it's like, no, this was probably shot like 8 months ago.
Yeah, for sure.
But and I think it's really interesting because I don't know of a story where Medusa lost her hair in the comic books. So I think it'll be it happened in the first episode, but still, and that did happen in the one you saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking before we started, and Michael didn't realize that they aired 2 episodes. It was like a 2-hour block.
Yeah, I
of
was
Inhumans.
watching like an on-demand service.
Yeah, so I guess they
and-
broke it up, and you only
Yeah,
saw
I
1
don't
hour.
I don't think mine had the second one
Right.
up because I thought it was 2 hours, like we had talked about. But then I was like, maybe it's airing on Monday. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's
And
all right.
I was in the midst of like a busy weekend, so I thought I was all caught up. But it gives me something to look forward to when I leave here tonight.
That's right. You get more Inhumans.
I know.
Yeah. So what were your overall thoughts, Michael, of
Oh, I really
the
like
Inhumans?
Black Bolt.
I think he's
I
great.
really like Black Bolt. a
And
lot.
I was talking to Frank Moran, who I do Star Trek Weekly with, after the show, and like many people, not necessarily.
I want
impressed
to hear
by
what
it.
he has to say.
Well, he was surprised that I like Black Bolt, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I think it's very difficult. First of all, as an actor, sure, it's very difficult to not be able to talk. From a storytelling standpoint, it's like, how many situations are you going to put him in? And I think that the actor's name is Anson Mount. I think he did a great job of conveying, a funny expression, you better not do that, like a threatening, I think he really ran the gamut without talking.
Right.
And, you saw what happened when he had a little, and so that's just a nice reminder of, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to make any noise. But I thought he was really well done.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see more of him. I really was intrigued by Crystal's character because her suit was so similar to the way it is in the comics. And usually they don't do stuff like that. And, like when they're translating, they try to make it, I guess, more modern, like less...
All the X-Men ended up in black leather in the first X-Men movie.
Yeah, part of me appreciates trying to make it more like down to earth or whatever for people, but another part of me loves those like crazy costumes, and I want to see them like tweaked a little bit for like a modern audience.
For those watching on YouTube, Anthony is bringing up an image of Crystal as portrayed by Isabel Cornish, by the way, and there she is in the suit. You all right?
I'm just going to be asking questions because, again,
Yeah.
I'm like the Marvel's virgin. But, like, why? Is there a reason that they don't stick to the comics? Like, you would think that would be more for the
I
fans.
think a lot of
and-
times the concern is, we can't really zoom in on my shirt, but
stories
I'll
in the
pull it up a
film.
little bit.
Yeah, that's
So
a
this
really
is,
good
this
version.
This is the all new, all different X-Men from Giant Size X-Men #1. So you see Wolverine's there in the yellow with the stripes, and there's Storm. And of course, Cyclops had basically the bald cap for a long time, and then I think they just felt like they wouldn't translate well, because there are costumes that do look good, like obviously different universe. Batman's costume can look really cool. It can also
But it
look
also doesn't change.
it could also,
much.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't change that much. And I mean, there are some costumes that they do a pretty good job of being faithful to, but that's mostly in the movies. Like we've had several different interpretations of like Spider-Man's costume, for example, but they all kind of look like Spider-Man.
And the storylines, like, why? I just wonder why they don't want
Well,
to stick to
sometimes their storylines are from more recent comics, and then other times they, the suits, I'm using air quotes, get involved, and like the studios, like we have a better way to tell that story than what worked in a comic that sold 3 million copies. We'll tell the story better. We'll make X-Men 3 The Last Stand. We will take the most exciting X-Men story of all time, the Dark Phoenix saga, and make it incredibly boring. That's what we will do. And there's only one man who can do that, Brent Ratner. But anyway, don't
Don't get real.
I think it's also maybe to keep people from thinking like, just to keep it more relatable. Like a lot of the main costumes you think of when you think of X-Men or just Marvel characters in general, those really iconic costumes were like when Marvel was like at like the top, when it had gotten like household recognition, and these are suits that were designed in like the 70s, like you can see with like Colossus and Storm, like I think it's, I don't know, I don't know, it's kind of hard. I think you could do it with something like the one we've got coming up with Squirrel Girl, the New
Oh,
Warriors.
the New Warriors, yeah.
I think you could do something that's, if it is like a sitcom and it is going to be more cheesy, I think you could work with costumes.
Sure. I think
and have
what
fun with
helps
that.
is that a lot of these costumes have been updated in the last couple decades. Like, you know, you're not getting the Iron Man suit from the 60s. You're especially not getting the old, like, bulky, all gray robot
Yeah.
Iron Man. But, you know, it's still essentially the classic colors. Even Thor's outfit has been updated over time. Hulk, God love him, he still just wears the purple pants. And you know, we could deal with more purple pants, by the way. But anyway,
I thought Deadpool's costume was spot on.
Deadpool's costume is spot on, probably because it's awesome. But you're right, it's I don't think it's any different than it is in the comics. That's our friend in the booth, Anthony. Anthony, do you have a social media to tell people about? Because I would plug it, but I don't know it.
Oh yeah, I do actually. You can find me on Twitter at Tony B Dead, B and then Dead DED.
All right, so I feel like I'm going to ask you that every week because I'm not going to remember. But Tony be dead.
He's like our personal Cerebro or Jarvis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll have to have him choose which one he wants to be, Cerebro or Jarvis.
Call him that.
Yeah. And Erica's like, well, now I got to look both of those up. But that's all right. That's
No,
fine.
Cerebro.
You're like, hey, I watched X-Men animated
I
series.
do. Well, the
And
movies.
anyway, so somehow we got off the track of Crystal, which is great though, because that's why I love talking about these things, because you have these great questions like, yeah, why don't they look like they do in the comics? And I think a lot of times the short answer is it just won't look as good. Crystal's outfit, it's fairly, you know, simple. And,
I think they can
and
do it
functional.
because she is from another planet, and
Yeah.
so it's like people don't really have a preconceived notion of what alien society fashion
Yeah.
like looks like. So I don't know. Yeah, I really liked how they like stenciled that hair.
Yeah.
And we didn't really get much of her, but it gives me like, I don't know, it got me a little interested in her.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they actually do with the character. She's separated from the family. You know, there's nothing weird about Maximus, you know, cornering essentially his sister-in-law and being like, so you want in on this? You know, and it's like, and I'll take your teleporting dog as well. But there's a lot of creepy interpersonal relationships in the Inhuman royal family. We referenced Medusa choking Maximus with her hair, you know? And I don't know. Maybe that's something that they used to do together already, and it just had a different connotation that she used to choke him. I just said I don't know. I wasn't there. But I think it's very interesting. I sort of liked the behind-the-scene politics of it. I liked this idea that Maximus is he's kind of considered a loser because he's not gifted. He doesn't have a power. And at the same time, he ends up being king by the end of the first hour. So, you know, that just shows you, kids, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. But I don't know. What did you, I'll start with you, Erica. What did you think of Maximus and his plan? Do you feel like he's an imposing sort of villain to really take on all of the Inhumans, and at the end of the 8-episode series, clearly he's going to win and they'll all be dead?
Well, you just touched on it. I like that he is the one. I mean, not that I like that his character because he is the villain, but
Sure.
that
Well,
he
you
doesn't
can.
have the powers and stuff. But
You like him from another show.
yeah, I do, and I'm so impartial to that, just his acting skills. But no, I think that it's gonna. I mean, we've kind of seen this scenario and how it's gonna play out. We all know that the evil doesn't win at the end. But I'm
Well, especially not on ABC. Maybe if this was a Netflix show, there'd be some like brutal scene at the end where they're just all dead.
They are really brutal, but I'm going to talk about the Netflix shows. Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I'm interested. They have me locked in. I know people are saying really fast. Every time I look up Inhumans, they have everything that stays out.
And see, I saw it, the IMAX version, and people had already started commenting before I saw it, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, was it perfect? No, but I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. I want to see what's next. And there's a lot of times when you see the first episode of a TV show, you might be like, I don't really care where they're going. But I'm like, no, this is kind of cool. I like that they've gotten themselves in this situation. And fortunately for Michael, he's able to go home and see a new part that he hasn't seen.
I know.
But I also saw this like a month ago, so I'm just I was going to rewatch it and jog my memory, but then I didn't. But I feel like I've got it in there. So Michael, though, your thoughts on Maximus? You've seen half of his plan thus far.
I'm into the hero, so I'm just not really into Maximus. I mean, nothing wrong with him in the series, but just like I said, I'm a huge Black Bolt and
Yeah.
Medusa. Like, I love that. Like,
So you're Team
romance.
Black Bolt.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, when they were on the Fantastic Four.
And Crystal dated the Human Torch for kind of a while, so
Yeah.
they're all tied in well with
And
the Fantastic
Crystal
Four.
was a main squeeze with my man Quicksilver. So
Oh, that's right.
That's another thing
gets
for me.
She does get around.
So I don't know. They have a lot of connections I like to other teams, and
Connections that we will not see in this series. Although we did talk last week, like you never know because Quicksilver.
Never know.
It seems like Quicksilver can be everywhere.
Oh well, I don't think we're gonna see a Quicksilver.
He's really fast, so he can go from one. He
We
can
might
go-
have seen him already, but
he
we
can
don't
go from
know.
Age of Ultron to Days of Future Past. He could run by the Inhumans. He's so fast that he changes what he looks like.
Yeah, I think they've probably run him around a little too much lately, so I don't think we are going to be seeing him. But
Yeah.
I could see us introducing something in for another series. Like, I know Marvel's really churning over something with Fantastic Four to.
Yeah,
A TV
well,
series?
well, I don't know. There's going to be a TV series.
Yeah.
But
I don't know there would be
I
series.
think
but
that they have a lot of hopes for the Fantastic Four.
yeah, could maybe have a
because
character, maybe
Yeah.
a Human Torch or something, because he appears in Spider-Man
I would,
comics.
yeah,
and-
I mean, Spidey. That's the great thing about the Fantastic Four, and they kind of get overlooked because of this raw deal with licensing and the fact, that Fox owns the TV and movie
I'm
rights.
fine with the movie from the 70s.
The Roger Corman movie that was made for $1 million.
Yeah, I'm fine with that one.
It was literally made for $1 million, and this is.
Didn't they sit on it for 4 years before they
because
showed it too?
because I'm old, I bought this as a bootleg VHS cassette for
Okay.
$20 at a comic convention, and because
I've
you'd
seen them.
heard about it.
Yeah, I've seen them at comic
Yeah,
conventions.
and you're just like, there's this Fantastic Four movie that's Roger Corman, who, for people who don't know, is just notoriously cheap filmmaker. He made a lot of very
Oh
slapdash.
God, I
monsters.
loved Rock and Roll
I've seen
High.
that.
Yeah,
Oh
there's some
my
great
gosh,
ones.
that's a good one.
So he did this Fantastic Four movie, and it's not great. It's right up there with the 1990 Captain
they
America
had
movie.
to make. I love that movie stuff. It's I don't know. They had to make it because of a certain time period. Right?
It was a rights thing.
Yeah,
it
and
was
they were gonna lose the rights. They didn't actually go into production
Yeah.
on the movie.
So they were just like, here's $1 million. We don't really care. Just make a movie. And there's some moments in there because I like those characters. I think Mr. Fantastic kind of loses the gray on the side. At one point, it starts to run down the side of his face, and they didn't do any reshoots, but that's all right.
The Thing's a little rough in that.
It's oh yeah, the Thing is definitely. See, I like Michael Chiklis as the Thing. What's that, Anthony?
If you look at your screen,
Oh, there they are from the Roger Corman Thing. Yeah, I think that's the same costume as the Red Skull from the 1990 Captain America, but they just spray painted it brown.
Wow.
Yeah, but look how happy they are.
I know.
That guy does not look like Chris Evans, by the way. That Human Torch. So anyway,
I've always had a bug up my ass about the fact that he gets to be Human Torch
And Captain America.
I
Yeah.
don't like that kind of
Winning.
stuff. I think if you do a Marvel thing,
That's it.
it's you need
Well,
to age 20
what about
years.
how what's his name is going to be Thanos and Cable? I wish I could remember the actor's name from the Oliver Stone George
I
W.
love
Bush
that
movie.
actor.
Josh Brolin?
Yeah,
Josh Brolin. Thank you,
But
Anthony.
I feel like with Thanos, it's going to be so changed,
Yeah, that's true.
digitally altered that you're not even really going to know it's Josh Brolin. But Josh Brolin just kind of looks like Thanos anyway.
Yeah, it's like they knew that one day there'd be a Josh Brolin to play.
Did you know that Thanos was actually named after an American wrestler here?
No, I did not know
In
that.
the United States, yeah.
Look at that. That's a fun fact,
Mm-hmm.
and people. Oh yeah, see, look at this. Now we have a great Josh Brolin, Thanos, and Cable. Sure, he looks like both of them.
I'm really excited to see him as Cable, but we're not talking about Marvel.
No, we're still talking about our
We're
good
talking
friend
about
Crystal
TV.
from the Inhumans. Out of the other characters, we'll go back to the image of the Inhumans. Is there somebody else that you... we didn't really get a lot of Karnak. I thought that they were able to visualize his power really well. Sort of the idea of like, that didn't work. Let me see the possible scenarios for how I could do this where I don't get killed. I thought visually that was really cool. And, I mean, that's the sort of thing. I know people are a little bit down on the show, and I'm like, well, that looked really cool. I hadn't seen that before. There are guys who are able to see the future in various franchises and things, and I don't know, I thought that was cool. So I'm interested in him, not just because the actor was on Lost, and I was very fond of him there, but those are probably who I'm most interested in, though. The big two, your Black Belt and Medusa, and I feel like Crystal will have a big episode at some point over the next 6
She's
weeks.
already proved the most important member of the team as far as I'm concerned.
Right. So we'll take a look at all of that. And this really is a perfect time to let you know that support for this podcast comes from the astonishing new television series, Marvel's Inhumans. On the dark side of the moon, there exists a civilization unlike anything you've seen before. People with extraordinary powers and abilities that make them more than human. They are inhuman. Meet Black Bolt, the king. The sound of his voice can destroy a city. Medusa, the queen, whose hair is a living weapon. And Lockjaw, the giant bulldog who teleports the royals from planet to planet. But now, treachery, in the form of Black Bolt's evil brother, Maximus, threatens the royal family and their kingdom. The royals have been forced to escape to their true home, Earth, where the real fight for the future has begun. Join this epic family drama as two brothers battle to claim one throne. Marvel's Inhumans, new episodes Fridays, 9, 8 Central on ABC. So it'll only be 1 hour from this week going forward. So you don't have to worry about missing it. And, I've done a few shows where we've done the live read of the Inhumans. And each time I'm like, right, I should do it at the beginning because then we get to introduce all the characters and everybody knows what we're talking about. But I don't know. I don't know what other people are saying. But I did mention that there is an Inhumans after show. The little bit that I saw of it, I think that they enjoyed it. They were very happy in the couple minutes that I watched. And so you can get more Inhumans there. But in general, we're saying continue to watch Inhumans because see where it goes. Yeah. The one interesting thing I'll talk about is the marketing has changed. It was originally the first chapter of the Inhumans. And then all of a sudden, as there started to be some bad press, bad reaction, it's now being marketed as the complete series, the 8-episode event. So they're just like, yeah, we're gonna do 8 of these and see what happens. Mm-hmm. The ratings were a 0.9, and again, we're not gonna get too bogged down in the numbers. It's like 3 million people. Now 0.9, like 20 years ago, a show gets yanked off the air right away. But shows get kept on the air at a 1. And this is an 8-episode event. So 0.9 isn't, it's not a dire state of affairs. So catch up on demand. I assume it's on Hulu because it's an ABC show, but I don't actually know that. And this segment of the show is not sponsored by Hulu. Just make sure you find it on ABC though, and you get caught up, and then you can watch the new episode on Friday. And that's how we feel about the Inhumans. Now, as I mentioned before, we had a kind of a look into the future because we got here early and we were able to watch the East Coast feed of The Gifted. And I want to be very clear that I know that people on the West Coast haven't had a chance to see it yet because we shouldn't have had a chance to see it.
Yeah, we're going to be a little tight-lipped, I guess.
So we're going to give some reactions, and it'll probably give a little something away. So if you haven't watched The Gifted yet, don't hate us if we give away like something.
Just pause and then watch it.
And then come back to us.
Again.
Yeah. But I think it'll be let me start with you, Michael. Just an overall impression, and then we're going to get into some of the specifics. So a non-spoilery overall impression.
Non-spoiler.
And then I'll talk about how upset I am about Polaris. But just overall.
Okay. I got major Carrie vibes from this episode.
Yes. Yeah.
You like the movie Carrie, you're going to like how this starts.
Yeah, I think Andy's experience at the high school dance was very reminiscent of most high school dances I went to, except for the part where you get dragged into the bathroom. But, just like, hey, you want to dance? Oh, no one heard me. Oh, great. Now there's the popular kids. I have to go hide. So I was just like, oh, this it was making me a little twitchy. And then I was like, oh, if only I could have done what he did. Now, he didn't kill any of the kids. I think that they made that pretty clear. There was like one guy who had like a bump on his head.
Yeah, we see all this in the previews.
Yeah.
That him having kind of a breakdown in the bathroom at the school dance. But I don't know. I'm really interested to see what his powers are. I'm not quite sure. I feel like it has something to do with gravity or something.
He
where
looks
he's
powerful though.
Yeah, I was really confused by Lauren, his sister's powers at first. I think that by the end of the episode, you get so you understand what it is.
Yeah, she can like compress and depress air to just kind of, it seems, and she can use water and everything, but she said that's harder for her to do.
Yes.
So air's like her
but like
medium
when she first,
right now.
the first couple times she used it, I'm like, well, what exactly is she doing exactly? It's like I thought she was making a force field.
You're giving it a side eye.
Yeah, I was, and then but you had a good explanation. Getting it back to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it looks like an Invisible Woman's kind of power right now. But the thing that I really want to see out of this show, just initially after watching this first episode, I want to find out that those two children are actually known players in the universe, like we got with Quake.
Yes.
I want to see something like that come in, because for me, I don't know if that family is enough for me
to come back week after week and then like, maybe check it out for a season, but then like, oh, I gotta watch season 2 of this family on the run.
Yeah, I want to see more tie-ins with the comics, something more stable for them, because they are the newbies, on the block for this show, and to focus on them, I feel like we're gonna need some reason to stick around, and for me, that's always nostalgia.
Yeah, I think that that's a good point, and
And I really like how on ABC's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they did that with Quake, because none of us saw that coming, and they did it in a good way. I mean, obviously, we can't change the whole family's name or whatever, but they could start going by a new alias, since they're going to have to get new IDs. Maybe they'll go by an alias we recognize.
That could be a really cool reveal. I don't know whose powers they match up with, who they could be.
Right.
Yeah. So, Erica, as you watched this, you made a comment to me after it was over that you hadn't really seen anything quite like that on TV. Right?
No, the storyline I have.
Yeah. But just the
similar,
visuals looked cool.
Yeah, I thought they did an amazing job with that. Like tying into everything that he was saying, I would love to see. I think I was doing some research, and some people were saying that Lorna might be Magneto's daughter. I would love to see how they can tie in with even bigger characters, because like I said, I kind of went after a while. I was like, whew, in the middle. I was like, come on now, we've seen this. We've seen the fighting. We've seen the trying to get away. So especially with me cramming.
We've seen people in the plastic prison.
Yes,
so that's true.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that Lorna we find out way into the comics, is actually Magneto's daughter. But we see in, other Marvel franchises, other children of Magneto aren't necessarily acknowledged as being his children.
Right, but I would say that it's pretty well established in the X-Men movies that Quicksilver is Magneto's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't actually say it, but it's like alluded to.
I don't know about in the Avengers. They don't really.
Oh no, I'm talking about real Quicksilver. I'm talking about X-Men Quicksilver.
Real Quicksilver.
Not Kick-Ass.
What is that?
Not Kick-Ass Quicksilver, who died. What? That's the real Quicksilver. Is the one from Days of Future Past.
I like them all.
See, that's good. You're much more inclusive.
You're confusing me. There's two Quicksilvers.
There are two Quicksilvers.
That's the real Quicksilver, right there.
Which one's the real Quicksilver?
Yes,
thank you. The great sequence from set to. Oh no, the Sweet Dreams was in X-Men Apocalypse, right? But anyway, the sequences with Quicksilver in the X-Men movies are pretty great, and but we got into that by talking about.
There's a lot in that family actually when we think about these two shows premiering with Lorna and Crystal. Both of they're connected family-wise.
Yeah.
Because Lorna ends up she marries Quicksilver, I think, at some point in the comic book.
That sounds familiar.
And Lorna being related to Magneto, it's kind of, I don't know. We've got this little family going on, and I want to see a Magneto come out like a.
Right, they'll have to cast a new actor as Magneto. but
Yeah, I'd love
because-
to see that. I mean, maybe with some like shoes or some just shaking windows, kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
You don't
We got with
actually
the
see it.
wheelchair and Legion.
But of course, the deal with Polaris, Lorna Dane, is that she's best known as Havoc's girlfriend, aka Cyclops' little brother.
Yeah, and
And-
she's such a big part of the X-Men that I don't think a lot of people really think about. She even like led the X-Men at one point, one of the X-Men teams. But I don't want to spoil it for anyone. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not
Well,
to be.
here, so the way that in which we'll spoil it is that I had a lot of trouble watching her, and you had said this last week, Michael, that you were not sold on
her
the casting.
physicality.
She just-
she doesn't look like Polaris
Yeah,
to me.
and I mean that same actress, you put green hair on her, I'll feel like she's Polaris, and a different actress without green hair might look like her. But yeah, it's just like you're telling me this is Lorna Dane. And by the way, that actress's name is Emma Dumont. You're certainly welcome to come on the show.
yeah, there's the
Yeah.
There's the
See, now there,
poster.
as if you're watching on YouTube, Anthony has put up the green hair, and you're starting to see, like, yeah, that helps a lot. Although I feel like that's green lighting on the side. That's not actually green hair.
She's got green tinted
Yeah.
hair. But I don't know. Like I had said last week, I'd like to see the Lauren Strucker character. I would have liked to see that actress playing Polaris. I don't know. I just
She would have been a better choice.
have
actually.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a look to me. I guess I just imagine these things in my head, kind of like what people would look real life versus their comic book selves. But
Yeah.
I
Yes,
just was
Erica.
wondering if they were gonna. I think it would make it better if like backstories if they're gonna ever tell us what happened to the X-Men. They keep alluding. That
Well,
the
I was going to
X-Men are
mention
not
that
around
because
anymore.
it's tied in. I think from I don't mean physical production, like 12-hour days on set filming, but from a production, putting the show together point, it's very easy to have the X-Men missing. I don't necessarily remember a point in the movies when they were missing for an extended period of time. However, there have been a ton of times in
been
comic books.
inactive many
Yeah,
times.
and in the
yeah.
comic books, there are times when people thought they were dead. There are times where they moved to Australia. Believe me, I didn't make that up. These are all things that happen. And sometimes you have two X-Men teams. There's all sorts of different permutations. So I think it's good to address that in the first episode.
I think we'll see some X-Men in this series.
Do you now?
I
If
do.
you got to pick the X-Man or X-Woman, would it
Well,
be
obviously-
Jean Grey?
No, stop.
What?
No, just because of the big bomb they drop in the episode, like I want to say about 2/3 of the way through,
Yeah.
I'd like to see Havoc be on the show.
That would be pretty cool, and
Maybe
it's a
with
character.
his little brother,
it's
Scott Summers.
It's a character that doesn't get utilized nearly enough in the movies. I know
Yeah, I
he was
wasn't
in
a
First
fan.
Class.
I wasn't a
Yeah.
fan of how they portrayed him in X-Men First Class. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, and in Days of Future Past, how he didn't look any older than he did 12 years earlier. But that's just that's just
Also,
minor.
his physicality was another thing that bothered me. I expected him to be bigger.
Yeah.
Like he was always just like a big guy and just kind of not. He's kind of scrawny.
Yeah. There's something that we saw in the previews that I think is in some of the trailers and things, but there's this idea that there are mutants who are hunting mutants in this universe of the
Super
Gifted.
villains, maybe.
Yeah, but who are some characters that you feel like would be good for that?
Gosh.
Off the top of my head, I would like to see Sabretooth. I do not think we will see him, but Liev Schreiber is too busy to play him again, so you'll have to cast a new actor. Ray Donovan will not.
We've
also...
already had two Sabretooths.
Oh, that's true.
Shriver was like this back alley Sabretooth.
He was a poor man Sabretooth.
Yeah.
I would say he was very good as Sabretooth in a very bad movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine is a movie we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not good. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool in that movie is really bad. I could not believe that they were going to make a real Deadpool movie with Ryan Reynolds after that.
Right. Yeah. I get that. I don't even know if I want to go down that path.
No, we'll be able to do whole episodes on that. I know we're Marvel TV Weekly, but when the new Deadpool movie comes out, we can do a special episode.
Every
on Deadpool.
once in a while we intersect. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. always kind of plays off the events of the Marvel movies.
I know. I feel like their season premiere will probably be right after Thor Ragnarok. They always seem to You know, be like, oh, now we're here to clean up what happened in the movie you just saw.
I mean, like in the first episode, we get Colby Smolder. She's not even like really a cool character
And
in
there
the universe.
was an episode with Sam Jackson, who, by the way, apparently just isn't in these movies anymore. He's not dead, Nick Fury, but we don't see him anymore.
I've had a bee in my bonnet about. I've never liked Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
As Nick Fury, but if you like, did you like him in Snakes on a Plane? Because
Watch
America,
that.
you're too good for Snakes on a Plane.
I think so.
Erica, did you watch Snakes on a Plane?
I don't like snakes, so.
Christian,
I don't like planes.
I
What's
think
that,
they're
Anthony?
just tired of these mother effing snakes
Yes.
on
They-
the mother effing plane.
That's the problem, is that
don't
they want
know.
the mother effing snakes off the mother effing plane. So you are tired of Sam
I like
Jackson.
everyone to look like they did in the comic books. I was like, when was Nick Fury black? Like. They're like he always looked like Mr. Fantastic's dad.
Yeah,
And
because
now-
everybody has like little gray on the sides of their
Yeah,
hair.
and I don't know. I never was a fan of that. At that point, I was like, Samuel L. Jackson is trying to get on everything he can right now. I mean, have you seen him? He's doing like
you
these
be mad?
Spotify commercials
Yeah,
now.
no. Hey, more
No.
power to him, by the
Like
way.
that guy.
Don't listen to
I
Michael.
don't
Sam,
know.
you're welcome on the show anytime. Just say that to everyone.
Yeah, you're fine with me, Sam. I just wasn't. I wouldn't have picked you. I would have picked like Sean Connery if I'd have picked you.
I mean, if Sean Connery wanted to be Nick Fury, I'm pretty sure they would have been like, right this way, Mr. Connery.
Right.
You know,
Sir
but
Connor.
but now that now that Anthony Hopkins does terrible Transformers movies, you're almost like, well, they should have asked him. You know, I don't know, but anyway,
John Goodman would be a good Thanos. We were
Would
talking
he?
about Thanos a little bit
We
ago.
were. I'm
And
trying
I
to
was thinking
picture-
about someone else that was in a Transformers movie recently
John
that
Goodman
really
was-
shocked
was-
me. Yeah,
that
in
he
there,
was
yeah.
one of the there was a lot of mildly racist jokes.
I didn't see it. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned this.
No, it's okay. it's not good. Transformers 5, but
I
you know.
fell off after 3.
Yeah, you miss it.
Good
Like,
for
is-
you, by the way,
Is it
Erica.
because Shia's not in it?
Yeah, you know, I feel like it's
Just read
Shia being in those movies is really what made them work for me. Anyway,
Wait, are you being funny? I thought.
well, you like Shia? No, just in general, he's such a weird guy. I mean, did you see?
I love him.
Did you see his
as an
DUI
actor.
video?
I
mean,
know, but as an
yeah,
actor,
that's kind of what
he's-
I'm talking about. Yeah. But anyway,
Don't pull that up, Anthony.
Yeah. Anthony's like, I can get it. Don't worry. Anyway, so yeah, I think that there are obviously a lot of characters in The Gifted, which is actually what we're talking about right now, that we're gonna have to get to know. But as we talked about last week, where is he? He's way down here.
You got
It's
someone?
Thunderbird.
Yeah.
John is John Proudstar, aka Thunderbird, and not somebody who's been on screen before. Somebody who's barely been in comic books.
Yeah.
He
I
lasted 3
like
issues.
his outfit. I'd want to see him in that outfit.
You want to see him in
I
the
wanna see him in
Thunderbird
that
outfit?
yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a good example, Erica.
I want to
If
see his
think-
brother too.
we'll
I want to
probably-
see them both next to each
Warpath.
other in their outfits.
I'm pretty sure we'll probably they'll both be wearing. The
I had
same
some
outfit.
issues
I don't
with.
think we're gonna get outfits, and it doesn't look like we're gonna get
This
outfits.
show
in this
doesn't.
show.
I don't feel like we're
Yeah.
gonna get outfits, especially the X-Men universe.
Unless they become
Like-
the
that's-
X-Men.
yeah.
Yeah, but who has uniforms in the on-screen X-Men universe?
I don't know. The thing that I'm finding interesting is that it seems like Polaris is their leader.
Yeah.
And she's been known to lead teams in the past. So I wonder if this is gonna like form and they keep mentioning like the X-Men. They mention it like 2 or 3 times, like how
Yes.
they're not around.
And
I wonder
also
if
they
this
mentioned
is-
that the Brotherhood's not around. So
And I
they're-
wouldn't. I'm kind of wondering if this is gonna be like an X Factor team. Like I wonder if this. I feel like they're gonna name themselves at some point, and it's gonna be.
not
team.
Generation X, not
Well,
X-Force.
no one on the team is from.
No, but you could use the
Yeah.
name, I guess.
Wasn't was it Warpath?
He was on X-Force at one
Okay.
point. Yeah, because he was on
Well,
the New Mutants, and then they.
I don't know. I
switched.
feel like they might get a name.
Yeah. Well, wait, let us know what you think the name should be. You can leave in the comments here. And I'm talking to the audience, not the two of you, because the two of you could tell me what you think. But you can leave the comments on YouTube, and you can also tweet us at ABTV Marvel. That's for all of the AfterBuzz Marvel shows, though. It's not just ours.
Yeah.
But Anthony's brought up a cool promo shot for the
Yeah,
Gifted.
you can see Blink there.
We've got Eclipse, we've got Blink, and that was something that I'm
I
glad he
love
brought that
that
up because I
issue.
forgot. You had an issue with Blink?
I had an issue with her eyes.
Oh,
They were green the
In
whole
the
time.
beginning, in the beginning,
They weren't
it was
green, were
solid
they?
black
Oh,
because
yeah.
she doesn't have pupils. She's actually a descendant from Apocalypse, so she's like
Well,
from this long
and
line of Egyptian.
she's a
like,
character from the Age of Apocalypse that they liked, and then they brought over to the mainstream universe. I just,
Right, yeah,
I just
she's-
like to sound nerdy and try and confuse Erica. That's why I say stuff like that. But it's a character that I think really caught on. You know, that's sort of an
Yeah,
interesting
and I
thing.
like that they gave her scar, and I just don't understand why they made her eyes green. I wanted like Polaris's eyes to be green, and I want her eyes to be like they were in the comic, like solid black. But it seems like when she's using her powers, they turn black.
Yeah.
And in the comics, they also had a version where she had like blue eyes that were just solid blue. She just looks too human to me, and I don't think she's fully human just from the backstory.
Right,
She
if
is
her
a-
backstory is a descendant of
the
Apocalypse.
Ozymandias or whatever his
I'll
line
let you
is.
say
I call
that, yeah.
forget how to pronounce it.
But for those listening on iTunes, the image we have, it identifies, so
Yeah,
I'm
our
not
main
giving it away,
players.
Polaris, Eclipse, Thunderbird, and Blink. So those are the characters. You know, none of them are really characters that are going to be majorly featured in a movie.
I don't
That's
even
why
know
I did
who
it.
Eclipse is.
I don't either, but I was just kind of going with it. I don't know. Maybe I was just
I
like,
don't remember
I was
encountering
looking-
him in any.
I was
of the
looking at
comics.
that and I'm like, I gotta look up who Eclipse is because I don't.
They just made up a new person and threw him on.
I mean, look, a lot of these people, you know, I mean, Lauren and Andy, as of right now, those are not actual characters. What if their superhero names are Lauren and Andy? You know, like to go with a bad reference, the old Super Friends with the Wonder
Sure.
Twins, they're gonna basically be like that. They're gonna be like a brother and sister whose powers are stronger when they work together.
You can have two human parents and then still come out with children that.
Well, yeah, it's recessive genes. It's a great question.
Jubilee.
Jubilee has
Jubilee's
human parents.
adopted.
Oh my.
Sorry.
Come
Boom.
on, yeah, that's right,
Lawyer.
Anthony.
This
Get
the story in
lawyered, yeah.
the story in The Gifted reminds me a lot of like if Jubilee's parents like actually cared about her, like what it
Right.
would have been like.
But there were no cool yellow raincoats in this episode.
There were not.
So that's
we
already
did get
fun.
a cool ringtone.
Yes, which I did write that as a note. There's a
Yeah, I got a kick out of that.
there's a fun little ringtone in the
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
I guess are we still trying to not give away things?
Oh, it's okay. We're not giving anything away.
Yeah, we haven't really given anything away. And I enjoyed the cameo, the non-speaking cameo. That was exciting.
I didn't enjoy that.
Well, you were looking down and almost missed it. So
It was
I was
so,
I was
like-
like, hey, look,
I wanted him to complain about something like he
That's
usually
usually what he does.
Yeah,
who could we be talking
I
about?
wonder.
But your real problem, Michael, Amy Acker.
I wish she gotten stuck.
She'd been the one left behind.
Yeah.
The portal closed, and then you'd been like, great, happy ending.
The mom?
Oh, you can move on.
And why don't you like the mom? There was something else you didn't like her on?
I
Or
just didn't like her in the Buffy Angel franchise.
Oh, that's what it is. I couldn't remember what it
I'll
was.
take it
like
back.
that. I've seen like almost everything she's done except for the latest Joss Whedon movie that was like a Shakespearean play. I forget.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see that one because
Much
she's
to do about nothing.
Much
yeah,
Ado About Nothing,
she's the
yeah.
star of that. But I didn't like her in that house movie. What was it? That really awesome scary movie that Joss Whedon did. Like
I wish
house
I
of
wish I
some-
had it on the tip of my tongue.
It's like you're
But,
judging on
somebody
everything
will
I've
comment.
everything I've seen her in, she always acts like the same kind of like role. You know, I
Yeah.
don't really get much.
There are a lot of moments
her.
in the interaction between parent and child, parents with each other, that you're just like, man, if they just weren't so dense, there'd be like 5 less minutes in this episode. It's like, listen to what she's telling you.
And you know, I also don't care about anyone without powers. So,
That's true.
No.
so that's I'm just like whatever.
You just
Dan
leave
with the
it-
normies.
Yeah, right,
Normies.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. She's not important.
And of course, the character of Andy, before he realizes that he is one, he drops the slur "muty," which you used to get a lot in the comic books, not as much in the movies. But yeah. So
Racist much?
exactly. No wonder his sister was so offended by it. All right, so we did check it out, and as I was saying when it was over, visually it has a kind of a cool look. It's like a little bit of a darker look.
I
because
love
it
the
is-
way Blink uses her powers.
Yes.
I think that's really
That's
cool,
actually a really cool
for sure.
effect. So it is a lot different feeling than the Disney shows.
It was like a renegade version of the X-Men.
Yeah,
a little bit.
and I love the X-Men. I have an attachment to them. So because this is in that universe, I will certainly keep watching for at least for a while. You know, I'd
sure.
like to see where this goes. I wonder how well received it'll be. Like, are people going to tune in and be like, yeah, but where are the freaking X-Men? Like, where's Wolverine? You know, where's Professor X? Where's everybody?
We've got
Yeah.
Polaris. so
We've got
far,
Polaris.
so
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see what goes on with her. I don't know about her big plot point, but we'll talk all about that next week. Yeah.
exactly. Erica, you're on board though for the Gifted going forward.
Yeah, I thought it was
Okay.
entertaining. It was good.
And at the moment,
Good
as I
storyline.
said, AfterBuzz does not have a Gifted after show, so I guess we're the closest thing to it. But we'll let you know. As Michael said, I think there'll probably be one in the near future. We'll let people know if it exists. But we are out of time. So thanks to everybody who joined us in the chat. I always say that at the end of my other shows, and then I realized we didn't look at the chat. But thanks to everybody who joined us in the chat.
We're gonna have a
Everybody-
new co-host next week, and I think we're gonna stick her with the chat.
Yeah, Carrie's going to be all about the chat. Exactly. And I do Star Trek Weekly with Carrie as well. So
Very cool.
I know her. And
Full
I think it'll be-
panel.
That's right. And we'll put the boys on one side and the girls on the other.
Okay,
It'll be
yeah,
like a
yeah.
middle school dance.
Yeah.
Anyway, for me, Christian Blatt at Christian DMZ, and for at Michael X Shirley.
You got it.
I love MichaelShirley.com or
That's my blog.
that's the blog. And at Erica Jaye Green.
That's correct.
Did I get everything in there?
Awesome.
You
Anthony,
did.
what is it? Dead Tony? What?
It's Tony B Dead.
Tony be dead.
Yeah,
Like-
Happy
Tony-
birthday.
Oh, thank you.
and happy birthday to at Tony
Yes.
be dead. Anyway, thanks so much, everyone. Oh, and don't forget to follow at ABTV Marvel. We will
sure.
see you next Monday. Thanks so much, everyone.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.